All right, now government mortuaries are struggling to keep up with the ongoing blackouts. The power cuts are speeding up the decomposition of bodies at mortuaries across government hospitals. More on this and the impact, I'm joined by Murdock Ramathuba. He's the Director of Environmental Health at the National Health Department. Mr. Ramathuba, thank you very much for your time. Quite disturbing to hear the industry of those, funeral parlors asking if families could bury a loved one within 4 days because they are seeing the decomposition happening even faster because of their fridges not working. Are you experiencing the same problem as government at your hospitals?
Not to that extent. We have tried to take stock of what we have on the ground, and we communicated with the provinces who are still providing us with information. Most of our facilities do have standby generators which are connected to the systems in the hospitals. And then those that are not within the hospital facilities, like some of the facilities you'll find in the Northern Cape, they would have their own standby generators that they are using to generate power. So generally, the situation seems to be still under control, although there's one challenge that they have is that when the power comes back after load shedding, there is a power surge that has damaged some of the systems in some of these facilities, which forces them to have to move some of the human remains to those facilities, other government mortuaries in the vicinity.
And I mean, all of this then means, Mr. Ramathuba, that, financial, things that the health department is supposed to look at financially then change. The fact that you had to procure as a department generators to all these facilities to make sure that the bodies of loved ones don't decompose as quickly, and now having to transport some of these bodies to nearby facilities when, as you say, when the system or when the electricity kicks back in, it also damages some of the equipment. It then means that the money that you could be using, for instance, to deal with the fact that we don't have enough doctors and nurses is then redirected to trying to mitigate this issue.
Yeah, I would say to a certain extent, yes, because facilities tries to do their best to make sure that there isn't any further transmission of any diseases that could come out of the human remains that might be stored in those facilities. But like I said, we don't have a situation where you've got mortuaries that are entirely non-functioning because of this in the public service. As far as we are informed, and we are continuing to receive updates because we have requested them to update us on what are the challenges on the ground. But so far, we haven't received any specific issues that we can say it's really impacting on the storage of human remains.
And expenses, I mean, right now, diesel is not cheap.
That is true, because standby generators will need to have diesel to generate power. That's one of the things that they are complaining about. And this does not only affect government mortuaries, it also affects private mortuaries. That's one of the reasons why when the minister promulgated the regulations relating to management of human remains in 2013, made a provision under Regulation 10, Subregulation 1, I think, G there, that they, as long as it's a mortuary that needs to be certified for this use, they need to have a standby generator for cases like this. So that because it's something that is expected in an industry of this nature, that you might have power cut for one reason or another, hence you need to have standby generators for that.
And I know that this is not necessarily a plea coming from government, and it comes from private funeral parlors and mortuaries, them saying that people should try and bury their loved ones within 4 days. It must be difficult to say that as government, because some people don't have the funds to be able to bury their loved ones as immediately as even 4 days. So I'm assuming, as government, you have to make a plan, because some people probably even leave the bodies of their loved ones for 2 weeks, and not because of their doing, but just because they just don't have the funds.
No, it is true. It's very true. However, on our side, there is nothing that prevent people from burying their loved ones as early as possible, because it's up to them if they want to do that. So we take note of the recommendations that are made by the funeral associations, by the undertakers to say, please try to bury as early as you can. We've got no problem. We do support that, but it's not a policy to say this is what the country should do. People should consider and do what they think it's best for them. Because of course, if you're going to keep human remains in a private mortuary for a long time, it's gonna be a problem, because if you've got this load shedding and they don't have sufficient standby that can provide support, then that could be a problem. But you must remember that the mortuaries that we use in government are like a stopover, because once a person is deceased, they stay in the government mortuary for a day, 2 or so, while they await the family to take them to the funeral undertaker premises of their choice, a private one for that matter. Yes. So it's just a standover of which they do not stay for that long, unless if it is those that may be considered to be unclaimed or unidentified bodies that we might have in the facilities. That is where we could have a problem for longer stays.
Well, I hope the powers that be do recognize what a dire effect this load shedding has. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Murdock Ramathuba. He's the Director of Environmental Health at the National Health Department.